Hey everyone, we're live. It's Thursday night prime time. Prime time means Sam, Tony, Alonso, Stan, and Gary. Welcome, gents.
Hey guys.
Good evening.
Hello.
So here we are. We're ready to have a party time. It's positivity. Let's bring it all in. It's not very often that the club goes out and buys a marquee player, and this is a marquee player. Thomas Partey, a marquee player. The last time I'm going to say was Aubameyang. We're just excited for a player coming in the door. It's instantly going to make us better. So let me start by saying let's slap a like on the video, and I want to also say we've been talking about Partey for a long time. Tony, Stan, we've been talking about this for months. Actually, looking back at some old videos, we were saying it's quite a strong possibility we're going to get Thomas Partey. Now, on Saturday and Sunday, I probably felt it was a bit out of sight for me for Arsenal to do this, but we're going to get into how this happened. The day that we blindsided Diego Simeone and Atletico Madrid and went and got our player, Tony. All Tony's been saying for the last 6 months is pay the release clause. Pay the release clause. I remember Stan saying the same thing, but it happened. We got Thomas Partey, and I just want to go around the house. Sam, give me your thoughts on deadline day and what happened, and how Thomas Partey, what he can bring to the table. So I'll go around on everybody what he can bring to this team.
Well, first of all, I think Thomas Partey is, like you say, of course, he's a marquee signing. He's a show of intent, that we actually do want to start challenging for things. And for me, he's probably the most important player we've bought since we lost Vieira. I mean, we've never really been able to replace Vieira with a similar type of player, a dominant, dynamic, athletic midfielder who can protect the back four and also move forward with the ball and be creative as well. He's that type of player we've been screaming for since we lost Vieira, and we've been linked with a few good players, but never really bought that midfield dynamo, that we've been after. So for me, he is definitely the most important player we've bought, as a big piece of our missing part of the jigsaw. So that shows me real intent, and I'm so happy that Arteta and Edu, got what they wanted and managed to bring him in and really shore up our midfield and get us to that next level. I think we're going to see now, hopefully, if he hits the ground running or beds in, hopefully, and not too long off, and he'll take us that next level.
Yeah. Tony, I'm going to go to you in a little bit for numbers, about the numbers he's posting. You probably have all that stuff to hand anyway. So I'll skip you and go to Alonso, and I'll go back to you, Tony. The numbers he's putting in, Tony. So just cue that up, and we'll be able to talk about that. But Alonso, what's your feelings about this signing on Monday?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the opportunity to see him play in an Arsenal jersey. I think that we've lacked that intimidating player in the midfield for years. Ever since I was at Arsenal, we've had, like Sam said, we've had players who've come very close to that, but not really. And we've lacked the midfielder that brings the defense and the attack together. So I'm very impressed with the things I've seen about. I'm very impressed with the things I've seen in Partey. And he's going to put a foot in the shifting as well. So, and he could pass the ball very well too. So I'm very excited about him being on the team, and I can't wait to see him play.
Yeah, Stan, what were your thoughts on Monday, Stan? It didn't look like anything was going to happen, and we wake up pretty early in the morning. Had to be early for you, 3 hours behind me, and it was early for me. News filtered through from Charles Watts, I believe it was.
Yeah.
From me. That's my source anyway.
Well, looking at how it unfolded for me, if I go back to the Friday before we played on the Saturday, I noticed that there were a lot of people online who were getting really frustrated that nothing had happened, you know. So much so that I saw people were trying to mobilise a protest outside the ground for Saturday before the game. And I just couldn't believe it, because don't get me wrong, I was also feeling anxious because Monday was getting ever closer. But I couldn't believe it, because until the window is shut, you never know what's going to happen. We've seen it happen so many times with Arsenal. Whether it's the player that you want or not, something can happen on the last day. Yeah. And when I woke up here on Monday, I started to see all of the the tweets about Thomas Partey. I thought it was fantastic news, because of all the players that we've been linked with in this window, he was the one that, for me, had the profile that I think that we really needed in order to improve us immediately. Now, he's not a player that I've watched a lot of myself. I've not sat here and watched tons of Atletico Madrid games. I've kind of watched a lot of him recently, looked at some of the clips, looked at the profile, and for all intents and purposes, I think that, we've got a fantastic player coming in. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure, what some of the lads have previously been saying, it is some way to going to replacing Patrick Vieira. But he seems to be one of these players, a little bit like a Kieran Tierney, where, we're getting this new word for players now, hybrid players. Yeah. He's not just a solid defensive midfielder, and that's all he can do. He can carry the ball and he can make things happen as well. So I think it's one of the best signings that we've made in a long time, because, as I've said before, I believe that him coming in will improve us immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Gary, your initial thoughts on the signing? And I know Gary was checking the progress of everything on the day. You were on those checking the flights, right? You were watching the plane, Gary?
Not necessarily the flights, but I definitely was checking Twitter, just doing a refresh. And with a week left, I starting to figure, it's probably not going to happen. We're probably not going to do anything. But I still was going to check, but I figured things were going to be, things were done. I mean, I think it was getting too close to where they could make a move quickly. Because if the two players that they were looking at, it just wasn't going to work out, then I assumed that was all they had in their bag that they were looking at. Those are the only eggs they had in their basket. So I assumed that was the only thing they were going to do. So I think, on the Friday, or I think it was a Saturday morning before the game, I pretty much had, figured, what, this is what we have. We're going to have to work with what we got. We're just going to have to improve from what we did last year, and hopefully things will work out. And that's what I expected to see. And then, come Monday morning, I start checking the Twitter, and then, you see that first post come out, from a legitimate source. And then you're like, okay, this sounds promising. They're actually going to be talking. It was, and then it just grew and grew and grew. Next thing you know, he's flying. He's, he's flying to the UK.
Taking a medical.
Oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Definitely. I welcomed it. I think he, he's filling a need that we didn't have. Even when we got Aubameyang, we still had a striker that we had paid for, the season, a couple months before. But he's a player that we didn't even have on the roster that we can think of that would fit, the mold. It wasn't like we had a player similar to him and then we just got better. It was, to me, it seems like we have a player that we just don't have at all on our team, and he fills a hole we just didn't have. And everybody talks about the spine, and this is, another plug in that spine, and another link to the front, and that's what we want. We want some strength there, and he provides that.
Yeah, as Stan said, he's a hybrid player. I think he can do a lot of jobs in midfield, and I think Arteta's rubbing his hands together, thinking about all the ways that he can tactically attack other teams, using largely Partey as the make weight in the midfield. We've all known what our midfield has been, and he's not going to transform our midfield overnight, but he's going to be a big part of it. And but Dave Fury here, a new name here. I hope you stick around, subscribe and like the show, and come back and stay here with us. We're trying to grow the channel, and we're trying to get new faces one at a time. One every show would be great. So really, really appreciate that. Tony, you got some numbers? and your initial take on Partey on Monday.
I think it was a surprise. I like how we did it. Called him up at 2 a.m. on Sunday and got the deal rolling. I still think of Simone just throwing a fit all day Monday, being pissed off, ranting all over the phone by himself.
Yeah, that makes it even all the sweeter. Like Simeone, and the club has sort of made a statement of intent. I think, as Sam had said, we went out and we threw our weight around a little bit. I think we've been the nice boys in world football and European football recently, and we wanted to reassert. I know Edu wanted to reassert take his stamp on the transfer window as well. We saw recently today these transfers take 10 months of the year to formulate, and there's a lot of moving parts involved. You don't just go out and get a player like Thomas Partey on a Monday. It looks like that to the fans, but it didn't just happen that way. Partey's an Arsenal fan. A big part of the portfolio from the previous head of recruitment, Francis Cagigio. I know I murdered that name right now. He's a tactically astute player. So, like I said, Arteta is going to be able to do a lot of things with him on the field. And he's put up some monster numbers. I mean, comparing him against our midfielders, Xhaka, Ceballos, and Elneny, no disrespect to them, but he's sort of 3 times their numbers. If you just call out a few things there, Tony.
3 goals, 20 shots, 351 duels contested, 69 tackles made.
Wow.
Aerial success 70.5%. Ground duels won 157, interceptions 48.
Yeah, so what we have is a Champions League player here. We are in the Europa League, and the club has pushed out the boat a little bit in getting a colossal player, a street fighter, a gladiator. I'm using all of these words, but they surely do fit, Sam, right?
Yeah, of course. He's like I said, he's a very athletic player. He's got strength. He's got athleticism. He's quick, not lightning quick, but quick enough. And he's just like you say, he's a hybrid player. He can do a good job. Sitting deep, protecting the back four, and he can do a good job when he has the ball moving forwards. He can carry the ball well. He can distribute the ball well. He can find a good pass. He has a good eye for a pass as well. So he's got that unique, skill set. He's got a good combination of defensive and attacking skills, and I think that's one of the reasons that makes him so attractive. Is with him you got a bit of everything, and it gives Arteta so much flexibility tactically now, because now he can cycle between various formations using him as a base of that midfield. You can go to a 4-3-3, you can stay to 3-4-3 hybrid, or you can change to a 4-2-3-1. Or there's so many combinations that open up for him now using Partey as the base of that midfield. Yeah,
and what all of us fans wanted to see was the club backing a very, very good coach. In his infancy, that Arteta's had less than 40 games, but he's shown he's got a win percentage of 60% plus. He won the FA Cup, won the Charity Shield, and this is a coach who's going places, and we needed to match his ambition as much as Arteta matching the club's ambition. So, Gary, definitely this is a game changer for the club to go out and get a marquee player in Thomas Partey.
Yeah, definitely. We just now going back to our game on Saturday, and when we were on the attack, imagine doing that exact same thing now with a Partey sitting back there behind. I think that's hopefully what the future is for us, that we'll see those attacks more often than not. They talk a lot about his defense, but then they look at his international play, and he's got goals scored there as well. So he can be a threat, and help push things forward. And that's what we want to see. If we're on the offensive, which I think we should be, hopefully now more than we were prior to his arrival, things will be good for us.
Stan, I liken this to Formula One. We've just upgraded our engine. We can now fight for the front row here. But we don't really have the DRS. I'm not being greedy here. I'm just saying we've got Partey. He's going to be the engine. We need that creative player, and that's going to come in the next window. There's always going to be probably either Partey or our as it happened.
Yeah, I mean, he was the one that I wanted out of the two. But I mean, if you're going to give a contract like we did to Aubameyang, and the contract that we done to Willian, which I know a lot of people contested, but as I gather it, he's on like 220 odd thousand a week. Yeah. If we hadn't done anything else, I don't think that what we've got is going to get us into the Champions League, which is what this is all about. This Arsenal wants to be back into the Champions League, and I don't want to. I know that we've only just gone through one transfer window, and I really hate talking about the next one. But I think that where we are now with Partey, I think what that does, I think that definitely guarantees us an opportunity to be back in the Europa League. I think that if we're going to if we don't add anything else in January, then I think the only way that we get into the Champions League is if what's around us fuck up. You know what I mean? We're going to be maybe beholden to other results and how other teams do.
Yeah.
Because I still think that for us to just walk back into fourth spot, I'm not sure that Thomas Partey alone will be the answer to that, because how many games is he expected to play in a season? So for me, we have to win the Europa League this season, for sure, because then we put our destiny in our own hands. Obviously, we want to do as well as we can in the league, but if we can win the Europa League this season, then we get a backdoor entrance into the Champions League. So maybe something else is going to happen in January. Surely Mikel Arteta is a clever man, and everybody involved is looking at this as well. And if you're going to pay these kind of wages, you've got to go the whole hog. Do you know what I mean? Because if we just stay where we are now and we only get into the Europa League, what's going to happen next season? They're going to be taking more pay cuts. Because we've got some players now which are, salary-wise, they're big hitters. Partey's on like 260, right? So if we're going to do this, we've got to finish the job. And hopefully, I think maybe something else may happen in January.
I always felt that Arteta was going to put himself under that pressure that Frank Lampard is feeling right now. Frank Lampard's gone out and Chelsea has spent a lot of money. They have that pressure to get into the top four. But I think Arteta is applying that pressure to himself because he wants to be in that arena. And, he's not shied away from it. He's obviously talked to the Cronkies. He's talked to Edu about going out and getting Partey. The money was obviously not there. The Cronkies did stump up a certain amount of money to part fund this, because the release clause is the release clause. Tony, I'll come to you next, but I want to give Darren a shout out here. Darren's in a good mood because he did get Lee Dixon and Derek Ray to comment on one of his videos, and that's a big thing to get somebody to comment, to get Lee Dixon and Derek Ray to comment on your video. So big up yourself, Darren. Tony, big steps with the club now with Partey.
Yeah, it's one step forward. We need to take a few more with no financial fair play. Hopefully we'll get a couple of players in the winter window. And
all right, so let's get into the mechanics of what actually happened. There's a lot of moving parts here. This is very interesting. I haven't seen anyone else really cover this. How we stole Partey. I don't know if you want to use stole Partey from under Atleticos nose, right? Because I believe Edu and Arteta set this up months ago. Like, come Saturday, Sunday, it doesn't look like we are signing anyone. Arsenal Twitter goes into meltdown on Saturday. We're waiting. We've been flirting with Houssem Aouar and trying to get him over the line. It hasn't happened. A couple of things did happen though. Torreira goes to Atletico Madrid, potentially on loan. Now we've been talking to Atletico Madrid for months, but potentially uh, sending one of our players, be it Bellerin, Lacazette, or Torreira, and part funding that deal. Atletico Madrid did not want to do that. So it turns out Torreira didn't have an option. He wasn't going to get game time here. So we sent Torreira to Atletico Madrid. And Atletico Madrid are playing hardball. Sam, Atletico Madrid are playing hardball. And they're not going to, they think they've got the upper hand on us at this point.
Well, I think early negotiations, early on in the transfer window when we first started looking at Partey was, I think we were trying to see if they were interested in anything, selling him for anything lower than the release clause, and also maybe figuring out some kind of, player exchange deal some way. But the thing is that release clause that's there, that has to be paid in full, and it has to be paid to La Liga. That is the way it has to work. The club doesn't touch that money. So I think this is a plan they hatched early, that they could just sort of, I think they knew that with everything, that I think they planned ahead of time to have everything ready for that last day, that transfer day, to set in motion what they set in motion if they felt it was necessary. And I think they decided towards the end of the window that this is what they wanted to do. I think they sort of realised that Hassam Aouar wasn't going to become an Arsenal player. I think they couldn't agree on terms with Aouar at Lyon, who's a notorious, terrible negotiator. Very, 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 very difficult man to negotiate with.
Yeah.
I think those negotiations broke down, and then we decided, okay, we know all we need to do is to get a green light for £45 million to pay La Liga, and we can get Thomas Partey, because we already knew, with having talked to his representatives, his agent, and everything, we had a deal virtually in place anyway with him, because we knew he wanted to come to Arsenal. He'd already rejected an Atletico Madrid contract renewal. We knew he wanted to come. It was just a matter of fact of getting it done, and everything was in place logistically with that whole team that was in place to get it done, and that's what we did. And to me, tactically, I think it was a tactical masterclass, because when you think about it now, you're looking back at everyone's ranting and complaining. Well, why, if we knew we could get Thomas Partey on the last day, why didn't we just do it earlier and bring him in earlier and have him in ready for the season and all this and all that? Well, if they really wanted him as, that he was absolutely the one they wanted overall, they might have done that. But what I think was maybe Aouar was a primary target just ahead of Partey. And the thing is, what would have happened if we would have paid the release clause, £45 million to La Liga, just like that? Like, okay, there's your £45 million, Partey, here you come. What does that do to our negotiating ability with Lyon, with Aouar? It means we can't negotiate.
Yeah.
We can't negotiate. They want 55 or 60 million pounds. That's what you just paid 45 million for Thomas Partey, you club that don't have any money. So we want our 55 million or 60 million for Aouar. That's what you're going to give us now. So that would have thrown our hand doing that early. For Aouar, would have completely thrown our hand. So we went as far as we could with Aouar, and we had that plan in place all the time to bring in Partey, and that's what we did. The only thing for me was I started to sweat, because to me it looked like nothing was going to happen. I mean, Monday morning, I'm waking up here, deadline day, Monday morning, nothing's happening. I'm like, okay, really? Is this what's going to happen? We're going to do nothing? And then luckily a few hours later, Charles Watts came out with that tweet, and everything started going on, right? But yeah, I just to summarise what I was saying, I just think it was a masterclass by Arsenal, Adu. And you've got to thank the board as well, and the Cronkies, KSC, for green-lighting the £45 million.
Yeah. Another interesting thing that happened, Tony, was that we were trying to squeeze Olympic Lyon a little bit, because they wanted to offload Jeff Friend Adelaide to Hertha Berlin. What did we do? We sent Matteo Guendouzi to Hertha instead, kind of blocking that avenue for Olympic Lyon to do that.
Yeah, I think we did it on purpose. We were frustrated with him trying to deal for our wire the last 2 months, and we pulled 2 tricks on the final day.
It's kind of funny how certain clubs have working relationships with teams, and we seem to have that with Hertha Berlin. And we're going to get into it on Sunday. We got one of their central defenders as well for the academy from Hertha Berlin. So I'm going to open up some avenues and talk to a Hertha Berliner, and hopefully we'll get him on the channel here and talk about that player. But that was interesting. We were trying to squeeze Olympique Lyon to make that the move. And obviously, as Sam had said, the president there, we know with Alexandre Lacazette how difficult the negotiations had been. So we knew it wasn't really happening. And Gary, we go in. So picture this there, Gary. You either go in with a suitcase or you go in with a nice crisp check to the La Liga offices, and you hand that over. And you say, I would like one Thomas Partey, please. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I like how we did that. I mean, there's a lot of talk about, why didn't we give them a courtesy call, a heads up, or anything like that. I personally feel like if we were doing, based on, what's already been discussed, there was a lot of planning going into this, as far as, this is what we're going, these are our options. This is our primary, and this is our secondary backup. What we're going to do if not all else fails. And by that time, I think once they decided, all right, we're going to go and get Partey, pretty much all hands on deck. Meaning we don't really have time to tell anybody what we're doing. We're just going to try to get this thing done as soon as possible and move it across the line. And that's what they did. I mean, I don't think a courtesy call, is that needed? I don't think we had time for it personally. And I don't think it's, it's part of their process. Is how they deal. I mean, we could have went in there and bailed on them at any time, and they knew up until a certain point in time it was still could happen. So, if they're mad, that's I'm sorry, but I think that
we could have left a message. We could have left a message on the answering machine, right?
Yeah, I at that time I think that all the primary motive was make sure Partey gets a red shirt. That's it. That's all we wanted to do, and I think we did it. Whoever was, I think it sounded like there was a team of Arsenal team staff working on this process, and they get it across the line. So I commend them for that. It did ruffle some some feathers probably, but you know what, we got the man that we wanted, and we move on. I mean, Torreira went that day as well, so they were still kind of communicating with us somewhat, right? So So. But I think we needed to do. I think we did what we needed to do. I don't like this because it puts stress on my heart. I'd rather we just make it a little bit easier on ourselves. But I'll take it.
Which part puts stress on your heart?
Just coming, going, and not going to happen. We don't have any money. We do have some money.
Yeah.
We're negotiating, $2 million more than we had the last time, but we're taking away a player from the deal. I mean, all these things are coming up. I just personally, like I said, I think Arsenal needs like a 7-day window, maybe at the beginning of the window, and then a 7-day window at the end, and then a quiet period in between, where you just assume nothing's going to happen while they're working on everything behind the scenes, and then come 7 days before we, put in our orders and get what we want.
Yeah, I sent earlier yesterday, I think it was, I sent to Stan and Tony because they were in the episode with me. It was a Doubting Thomas's episode where we were talking about all of the Thomases we were linked to 4 months ago, Stan. Thomas Lamar. But we held fast in there. We talked about Thomas Partey being the only legitimate target that we would get. Now, Stan, imagine a movie where a guy goes in, he's got his suit, lovely shoes on, he goes in there with his suitcase or nice crisp check, he hands it over to the bank teller, and he wants to take one Thomas Partey, and also we have a private jet with these ninjas ready to whisk Thomas Partey away at 2 a.m. in the night.
I actually think that's probably not far off of how it went down. I think Monday morning at sunrise, Mikel Arteta and Adu, black suits on, black sunglasses, in a black SUV, going out to an undisclosed location, to a private airfield. Meanwhile, you've got Simeone on the phone to Arsenal talking about the Torreira deal, and the secretary is saying that Edu can't come to the phone because he's in the toilet because he had a carry last night. And he's really on the way to the airfield, right? They touched down in Spain. They don't even know at Atletico that Arsenal people are in the country. And I really hope that when they went to the Liga office, you know, like when you win the pools, you get one of those really huge checks. It's like a normal check. It's a really massive check. I really hope that they had one of those, you know, that they took out of the boot and took into the offices. I think it was great, a great ruthless bit of business. And we've not seen this from Arsenal in so long. Usually we get rolled. You know, we just roll on our back and we let them tickle our tummy and we take what we're given in transfer fees, you know. We just take what we're given. So I like it. I mean, the only downside is that I doubt if we'll be doing any future business with Atletico Madrid anytime soon.
That's okay. We took one of their best players, Dad. I think we're good for a couple of years.
But the other kicker is as well. Apparently, Simeone, he had visions of having a midfield duo of Torreira and Partey. So what I really hope that how this really pans out is that next year Torreira has a great season with them, and we're able to also get another 35 million off of them. That would just be the kicker.
We got Lombard Camp. We dodged the 90 million bullet with Thomas Lamar, probably for the second time in Lombard Camp. So Thomas Lamar will probably be an Arsenal fan, an Arsenal player in about 5 or 6 years from now. So you know, he's like those forever linked players, Gary. Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying, or Torreira, you know, gets his mojo back and plays like we would expect him to play, and we're like, maybe we keep him. You know, we never know. Some people just need maybe need a different environment, different landscape. You know, shake the rust off. But I know it's more about outside the pitch than it is on the pitch. But you know, maybe
we're making moves. We're Arsenal. We're making moves, and we're starting to upgrade our team. Alonso, as Stan was laying out that movie scenario, which I love, I got a lot of vibes of Ferris Bueller, where Ed, you know, the secretary's like, Rudy, Ed, where are you? Take the phone. Somebody take the phone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Alonso, what's your take on that? Atletico Madrid in turmoil. Simeone, I think everyone's avoiding him right now in the corridors. If he's coming down, you're going the opposite direction.
Well, I think that it's about time that Arsenal are ruthless. You know, I mean, I think that it's time we show people that, listen, you know, we've been bullied around before, you know, with Barcelona buying our players, you know, and other players, other teams buying our players. So it's our turn to buy players as well, and we're doing it the right way. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the way we did. Just I think finally, you know, we're seeing a group of guys that want to be more aggressive in the transfer window. We know what we want. You know, we've learned from our mistakes in the past, and you know, we got what we need, not what we want. There's a difference to me, you know, and this guy's gonna be impactful, you know, and he comes from a big club in Spain as well, so he's no joke. So I mean, I'm kind of glad we took that aggressive move to get Partey, who we needed, not wanted, you know.
Yeah, good stuff. Listen, I don't want you to make you emotional, Alonso, but I want to pay respect to your grandfather. So, Alonso's caption at the bottom: "This podcast is for his granddad." So, you know, rest in peace. 89 years old, so a good age. But our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family, Alonso. So, wanted to give you thoughts on that one.
Thanks for your support during this tough time, and I appreciate it. My family appreciates it. So, thank you all. Yeah,
absolutely. So, Tony, the medical's happening. It was a whirlwind of a day. Sam, it must have been late in the day for Sam because he's like 6 hours ahead of me, and I noticed this happening around 9 a.m. So it had to be 3 p.m. Sam, 8 hours to go. Was it 8 hours? No. 8 hours. 8 hours to go, right?
Yeah, I mean, we got in it was all starting to happen in the afternoon, late afternoon, and then the news of the medical happening in Madrid, and we started getting through on Twitter. We started getting the pictures of his last medical. Everyone thought that was the medical going on. It was his last one. And anyway, it was crazy, right? Everyone was just, is it happening? Is it not? What's going on? And then also you had, it was fascinating, the whole, let's say the whole battle between the in the knows on Twitter, as they're called, the ITKs. Where basically you've got these the guys who are more reputable than the others. It starts off with Charlie Watts, who is fair, I would say, very reputable, good source. He starts the ball rolling, and then not long after, Fabrizio Romano, who is probably the guy who's most reputable at the moment, comes out and says, no, it's not happening, because he's spoken to Atletico. They said there's nothing happening. Well, if you speak to Atletico, of course nothing's happening because they have no idea, right? That's the thing. Charles Watts is Arsenal. He's on the inside in Arsenal, and you got Fabrizio Romano on the inside in Atletico Madrid. And at Atletico Madrid, they're like, "What? Nothing's going on here. No, what? No, you didn't hear anything? No, nothing's going on here." And then over at Charles Watts, like, "Yeah, we're getting ready to get in Temato's party. He's on his way." And Fabrizio Romano's, "No, it's not happening." Then a few hours later, Ornstein comes in as well. Another very reputable sports journalist from the Athletic and also in the know, comes and says, backs up Charlie Watts and said, yes, my sources are telling me as well, Arsenal are moving for Partey, they're going to pay La Liga. And then all of a sudden, later on then, when it gets a bit later, then Romano comes out and says, yeah, it looks like I'm wrong, sorry. And it's like, wow, this must be happening. When Romano came out and said, when Fabrizio Romano actually came out and said, listen, guys, I'm wrong, you got to take your hats off to Watts and the other guys, for this, for getting this information out there early. That's it. Then I knew it was happening. But then, of course, good old Arsenal, they made us wait, right?
Yeah.
And
And Stan, I'm going to go to you because you're the movie guy, right? I imagine Diego Simeone sitting down to a nice glass of wine. He's having lunch. He's got his white napkin tucked into his neck, right? All here. And somebody comes and whispers in his ear, right?
I think that whatever room that he was in, right, when he found out, probably that room is still going under repairs now. There's probably nothing left in that room. He must have he probably hulked out, for want of a better phrase,
Yeah.
Because we really did. It was really pulled right from underneath his feet. And apparently they what I heard was that we got on the phone to Thomas Partey early in that morning and said, like, it's on, we're coming, we're sending a car to take you to your medical, and he got a call, really early on, and off he went. Everything happened really quickly.
Yeah. Sunday morning.
So yeah, I mean, we've done nothing wrong. We tried to negotiate a better deal with them, obviously, including the player, one that they've now got on loan. And when they didn't want to play ball with us, we just went straight to the Liga and deposited the check. So, it is a little bit sneaky in a way because we just went straight there and did it, but we've done nothing wrong.
No, we've done everything legally, Tony, and the release clause allows you to go to the offices of the La Liga and deal with them directly. And you don't have to. You're not obligated to talk to Atletico Madrid.
It's a way the release clauses should work all throughout Europe. I think it's the way to go. You don't have to be like Liverpool where we met the release clause and they're like, nope, you can't have a player. Just go to the league offices, drop the money, give the player. Hopefully we do the same thing with Upamecano next summer because his release clause drops to $36 million.
Yeah.
Shitty center backs and get a good center back.
Yeah, or Szoboszlai. I've been practicing that now. See? Szoboszlai, not too bad, not too shabby. Right? Charles Watts, Stefan, thanks for joining us. Mick Jagger told me Lionel Messi was going to Arsenal, but it didn't happen.
He's thinking of the Rolling Stones, right? The drummer of the Rolling Stones. It's not that Watts.
Trying to stand the sugar daddy. So, and this, Stan the man, this is what you were talking about. Why can't the Cronkies stump up some money ahead of time? And essentially, they did that in this deal, right?
Well, I don't exactly know what part they play, but if you remember several months back, they've done a sort of like a remortgaging, a restructuring on their investments at I don't know if he said KFC, KSE,
KFC.
at KSE, where I think it's something like 30-40 million was saved, kind of like tucked away. So maybe it was a case of we had that, as a little, sort of like just kept to the side for an emergency, and they released it. But however it's happened, I'm glad it has. And if they put their hand in their pocket, good. If it's if it's a case of the money we just put aside, I don't really care, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm just glad that we got our business done, because I was nervous on Monday, and when it got to sort of like Sunday night, I was thinking like, Sam, I was thinking, is this it? I mean, I had like a telephone book of notes written of what I was going to say on the next podcast if we didn't do any business,
Give us a little preview.
Again?
Give us a little preview.
No, well, no, I put down the toilet. I shredded it. It's not needed. It's not needed, right? It's all a good vibe. But
Just like any good secret agent, you shredded it. It's gone.
I'm just glad that however the money came about, it happened. And if you look at the window as a whole, him and bringing in Gabriel for me, and also the re-signing of Aubameyang have been the highlights of the window for me.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get right into that. But we should just put a little bow tie on all of this. The numbers, guys. Tony, we restructured the stadium debt, generated 30 million, which surely helped to do this. Plus, probably Martinez business was the only business we were able to do. And we're going to rate the window a little bit later, but we want to go through the whole window as well. But Tony, we're able to generate 30 million from that.
Yeah, 30 million from that, 17 million from Martinez. So right there's 47. That's 2 million more than we needed to trigger this release clause.
The boys were able to grab for a Big Mac later after they got all the business done, right? And Gary, one of the nice things I was watching Harry Redknapp have to sort of swallow the big news of Thomas Partey being landed on Sky Sports News.
Definitely, I did not see that. So it's hard for me to comment on that one.
It was epic. Every time you were supposed to say something about Arsenal, he just inserted Tottenham in there. Like really.
Yeah.
Very, very bitter, right, Sam?
Yeah, well, did he say something like, still, he's not. What I say, they still need more players. They're still not very good and all that. And he's just basically snagging us.
We're going to challenge.
This isn't how Tottenham will finish above Arsenal because something like that. I was like, and it was on my. I saw on YouTube, and I was like, "Scum will always be scum." Because it's true. I mean, they're always bitter, right?
Harry Redknapp is he's a bit of a crazy guy, I suppose. With a lot of his thoughts. But even his son, Jamie Redknapp, who was there on the same show a bit earlier, said Arsenal are going to be better with Partey if they get him. So, Harry Redknapp's a bit of a he's a bit in England he's known for having slightly different views than everyone else, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, Rule is hoping that our business is not done. Tony, is our business done? Are we going to dip into the championship? Maybe take a player? I think Wendy was mentioned earlier from Norma.
I don't see us bringing in anybody else. We might try to get rid of a player or two or loans.
Yeah.
I don't see us bringing in anybody.
All right, so listen, an epic transfer deadline day for Arsenal. We don't get too many of these in our lifetime, so we got to savor this. We got to enjoy it. That's why this is an upbeat podcast. We're gonna enjoy this. This is the Partey time. So, who's drinking a beer right now? Let's do beer section. Gary, what have you got, Stan?
I've got Red Truck IPA, and I just need to go and get another one out of the fridge.
Killed one already, Stan.
See, I'm running on empty here.
All right, Gary.
I went a little heavy today, so I'm going with the Murphy Stout.
Murphy's.
Oh.
Yes.
Ooh, Murphy Stout. Wow.
Thank you. Is that for the Irishman above you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who else? Tony. Sam Adams.
Summer ale.
All right. I got a Maple Mistress.
Maple Mistress. Wow.
Yeah. All right. So that's the beer section. Tony's trying to get some beer sponsorship in here. Right, Tony?
Yep.
Nice one, Stan. All right. Let's get into the window. Next, if the bow tie was Thomas Partey, the cherry on top, Thomas Partey. We did a lot of things. You got lemonade, right?
Yeah, man. It's good, dude. It's good.
Hard lemonade.
Some moonshine in it.
So that was Partey, 27 years old. Thomas Partey, we got him. Release clause, Champions League, all these watchwords, and it's going to help us throughout the season and get us into the Champions League, hopefully. As Stan has said, I think it was a little dodgy whether we're going to get Champions League or not without a Partey, but with him, we can all be a little bit more confident. And yes, we're going to look around at those other teams that fucked up, Stan, a little bit later. Talking about Manchester United, talking about Liverpool. But I would have liked to have Thomas Partey in the camp when we face Liverpool. That would have been nice to see, but we have to accept they're on a slightly different track than us. But let's start from the top. Gary, first thing we do, and this is what Arsenal typically do, traditionally do. We do all of the easier business first, and it kind of builds and builds throughout the window. Think about last year, we got Tierney on the last day, and then we did do a panic buy and got David Luiz, but because of that defender Koscielny. So first thing we did on the 3rd of July, we extended Gabriel Martinelli, and hope he gets back and gets well soon. Gary?
Yeah, and he definitely earned it. He showcased his skills and improved every time we saw him come out there on the field. Everybody remembers that long run he did for the score. Come back to that anytime you want to say, is he worth it or not? And you're like, yeah, he can do this pretty much whenever, the opportunity arises. So I think you got to, and this is what you want, right? You want, your younger players to be ready to come in and fight for their spot. And he did. He came every time he was out there, he did what was needed. I mean, once, when Aubameyang went out, on I think the red card, was it? He came in, filled in filled in perfectly for us and showcased his skills, and that was nice to see. So I was, definitely glad that he was signed on. Hopefully, looking forward to him kind of recovering fully and getting back doing what he does, because we need that. I mean, that's one of the things that our team needs is the depth. We need a starting 11 that's sound, but we also need the depth. And right now, he provides that, and hopefully soon they'll move up to starting role. But there's still time for that. Is there something? What is that going on?
It has a tail.
I was like, is that a raccoon tail? What is that?
That's my tail.
Tail.
It's like pointing at me. Ooh, stop itching.
Thank you.
Cool.
Dan's tail is happy that Thomas Partey is signed too.
No, I think Gabriel is going to be. I'm hoping that on top of maybe doing some business in January, that we get a couple of new players in, and Gabriel is one of those. So hopefully in January when he comes in, he'll be that a new added player that we get to put in our spot and play, showcase his skills. So I'm looking forward to that. Definitely looking forward to that.
Anyone else want to say a few words about Gabriel Martinelli? I think he can be really a player if he continues on the upward curve. He can be a player who can add goals to our forward line. Shout out to Mahir. I talked to him earlier. He was stoked about Thomas Partey. He's going to add some goals to the midfield, desperately needed. He's going to take some shots. I know Gary and Tony did a watch along. The shot total was pretty low against Sheffield United, so we want to boost that a little bit. But Martinelli's going to give goals to this team.
I want to ask you real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
I think that what's so good about Martinelli is that he has such composure at such a young age, and he can play multiple positions as well. He can play center forward, he can play out wide. So I think that it's here. He was at first he was like he was aiming to be like the U23 player, right? But then when he came on the scene, he was like, wow, he's ready now. So it's always good to have that player that can have composure and is ready to go at such a young age and can really demand the ball as well.
Yeah, he's an ice cold killer in front of goal, and he's only going to develop and get better as he understands what positions to take up in the box. You know, he's going to learn from Aubameyang and Lacazette there. You know, I love Stefan's comments here. Arsenal fans not realize Stan sacrificed the procurement of new wigs to sign Partey. Stan's wig maker is now in danger of going out of business. So. Question, Tony. Do we think we're okay as a squad now? Chelsea spend lots of on transfers. They're so-so. Arteta seems more sensible on who to get, Tony.
I'd still like to see another midfielder, but I think if the players buy into what Arteta's telling them and asking them to do, we can make the top four, but it's going to be a challenge, and everybody's have to be disciplined.
Yeah. So that's Gabriel Martinelli. The next one that comes, next good news on the 23rd of July this year, Bakayo Saka. And shout out to Bakayo Saka. He's got his first cap today against Wales.
Yeah, I mean, I was really pleased. I mean, had us a little bit anxious that about getting him to extend, because again, we were at that stage, weren't we, where things weren't going too well for us, and it would have sent out a really big message if one of our biggest prospects that we've reared all the way through the academy decides that he wants to go elsewhere. That would have. I can only imagine the meltdown that would have happened on social media, on Arsenal football Twitter and such like. So again, that was a big hurdle, and I think it's all part of this building process, because other players in the team, they see that commitment. Other players that may be looking to potentially join Arsenal, they see that commitment, that we're able to keep our prospects. So yeah, a fantastic bit of business.
Yeah, exactly. A great player as well. Yeah, Stefan, Tony is also wearing a wig as well, if you didn't know that. So, Sam, Bakayo Saka, a player who's burst onto the scene. You can say a lot of things about Unai Emery, but he did blood Bakayo Saka and a couple of the other young players that Arteta is going to bring through. But he burst onto the scene. A lot of assists in the weak area for us, filling in for Kieran Tierney as well. So, as Stan has said, we were worried that the likes of Liverpool were going to come and nab him from us. But I love the video, especially where Saka's like, "Come on, it's Arsenal, It's Arsenal. It was always going to be Arsenal."
Well, he's been at Arsenal for a long time already, hasn't he? I mean, he came to Arsenal as a school kid, and he's been there for many years already. I think he feels like Arsenal is his home, and hopefully that will be the case for many years to come. I mean, he's a great talent. He's already shown how versatile he is, how skillful he is, what he brings to the table. I hope he stays with us for a long time. We'll certainly give him a good long-term contract now. That'll probably be improved in a season or two or three, maybe, if he continues to improve. And yeah, may it long continue. I think he likes Arsenal, and yeah, I think we can see him Arsenal for a long time. He gives us a lot of options on the left-hand side. He can even play a little bit on the right, even though I think he's much better on the left. And yeah, it was even impressive to see him play left back, wasn't he? He played left back for a while, or left wing back, wasn't it? When Tierney was injured and Kolasinac was also unavailable.
Yep.
And then he came in and did an impressive job, didn't he? Even in that role. So yeah, he's very versatile.
Yeah, I can see Tony in a Davy Crockett hat as well. Steve. Oh shit, he's got one, Steve.
I bet he's got one.
All right, while we wait for him, Bakayo Saka, great player, a versatile player. He's going to help us in midfield as well. I think he can jump into midfield. He can play across the front as well, left and right side, and he's been someone that Arteta's used a lot in his formations as well. All right, there we almost. You just need sort of a tail. You need a tail on the back end. Stan, can you provide that? Gary, I'm going to come back to you on Bakayo Saka. Any words for Bakayo?
I love him. I love him out there. I mean, he is what they call a footballer, right? Put him on the pitch, tell him what to do, he does it.
Makes it easy for the coach.
Yeah, right? I mean, he he had Ainsley talking about he wants to play this position, and you've got Saka saying, "Just get me on the field, coach. I'll play wherever you want me to play," and he's done that. He's shown up everywhere we wanted him to. We've needed him to, and we haven't really lost anything by putting him out there. So I think that's one we definitely wanted to keep, and that's one of the reasons. Every time he's out there, he's doing positive things. Looking forward to him doing more. I always say we want more. We want more Saka out there on the field. Somehow they need to find a spot for him that can get him out there on a regular basis, so he can improve. Each and every day that he's available to the coach on the list.
Gary, when I was on a holiday a few weeks ago, the Leicester game in the Carabao Cup, Saka played, and it just seemed so easy to him. The game, he makes the game look easy in a way, and he played very, very well that night. So the better players make the game look easier, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we like that from him. So yeah.
And
go ahead. Sorry.
No, what we're seeing here with Martinelli and Saka, they have confidence in the club. The club has confidence in them. We're building something, and they can see Arteta, and we're going in the right direction. We've seen now with Edu, people have been questioning Edu, and to go after Edu's son, I'm going to say is disgraceful for Arsenal fans to call themselves fans. And to go after anyone's family is reprehensible. And you got to
say that some fans were going after Dennis Bergkamp's daughter because she followed Man United on Twitter. Obviously, her partner is Donny van de Beek, who now plays for the club. So I mean, it's just ridiculous, right? I mean, it's mind-boggling that people will do something like that. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, no, really. I mean, I'm not going to give it any more. I'm not going to give it any more airtime. It's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? Yeah. And when people say trust the process, you have to trust the process. If you're a fan of a club, you have to trust the club, as difficult as it can be at times. Yes, you can question everything, but you can't get to the abusive level in society where you're abusing people's families. You know what I mean? That's just crossing the line for me. But what we're seeing here is Saka, Martinelli. They have faith in the club. They're moving forward. The next one, who wants to take Willian? The next one.
I guess I
will. Gary, go.
Yeah, no, I was just going to hope I don't steal any of your content.
They had ample time.
No, I was just going to say for William, I mean, initially, my thought of him being on the team was just to be a mentor, and it was proven right in the first game that he played. I believe he kind of showed what somebody in that position on the field is supposed to do, be it Fulham, be it whoever. But he was able to show. I think Arsenal at least has a blueprint of what they want to see out of somebody playing in that position, and hopefully the other players that weren't playing that game saw that and understand that this is some of the things that we want you to do when you come on. I mean, I don't think he can do that consistently, game after game after game. But I think when he does get the time to, recover fully, he can show that whenever he's out there. And hopefully they use him wisely. because I think he's old, and I don't think he can give everything we want every game that we need it.
Yeah.
And hopefully, those that are behind him or those that need to be kind of taking the mantle from him realize that and go and do what they need to do. I mean, I feel like Pepe should be the one that's taking a spot, and hopefully he understands that. I mean, saw him play today, and he had a couple of opportunities to score. He didn't work. The goalie made a good stop, and but I'm hoping that what we're seeing from Pepe, we see more and more of that whenever he comes on the field, be it at start or when he comes in for
So Pepe played today, Gary.
Yeah, they played Belgium.
Okay.
They tied 1-1. I think they scored towards the end of the match to tie it up, but they put a lot of pressure on that goalie. So he had a couple of opportunities. I mean, the one thing that I think that I saw that I don't know how often we see that on our side is their team is consistently communicating, not always in a positive light, I don't think, but definitely communicating so that he knows what they want of him. He knows when they think he's done something wrong or made a mistake or just not ready to go. So I think maybe he needs that. He needs somebody kind of in his ear, pretty much getting him going. But I think, like I said, going back to Willian, I think he's a welcomed addition to the team, and if for those reasons of maybe helping us, prepare some of our players that are on the cusp but that need a little push.
Is shout out to Rowan here for joining us. Thanks, Rowan. Like that question there, Gary. Is Willian the next Mickey?
Well, I definitely feel like in the third year he will be. I mean, I feel that's I can't see that not happening. I'm hoping that by then, the team is in a better situation and we don't care. I'm hoping that's what the case is. I hope we're not even worrying about. We keep talking about the dead wood. Hopefully, we're not even worrying about the dead wood anymore because we've got bigger things to work on, like moving up the tables, going deep into the cup tournaments that we have, European tournaments that we play. So hopefully that's what Arteta wants, right? He wants in that third year not to be worrying about can we get into the top 6, can we get into the top 4. He wants us trying to win whatever we play.
Yeah, the title hopefully. Yeah, Mkhitaryan, he may possibly be a Mkhitaryan in a few years. That's correct. But right now, he is giving some competition to Pepe, and we've kind of seen that on the field, Gary. Willian came out and had a great game against Fulham. Had a few lackluster displays subsequently. Pepe's found his way into the team, and he's shown his mettle. He scored a goal against Sheffield United, and that's all Arteta wants to see from his players is some kind of competition going on there.
I think many thought that Pepe should have played in that Liverpool game, because he definitely will be able to bring more than Willian could have, and what we saw in his last outing is kind of the things that we want to see from him, right? Getting out there in position, being threatening, putting his head down, and making sure we get a goal somehow, some way, even if he has to score.
Great goal on the weekend.
I'll say this again. We want more. We see these little snippets of him. We want more. We want more.
He's for me, Sam. He's that kind of player, Pepe, that sort of gives you flashes. He's never going to give you a full 45 minutes, a full 90 minutes. You're going to see flashes here and there.
That's his problem, right? He needs consistency and he needs stability. At the moment, like you guys are saying, you'll see a flash of brilliance here, a flash of brilliance there, and then he'll lose the ball or make a weird decision, or he's lacking consistency at the moment. For me, he's a player you can play him against teams that have a high press against us, that leave space behind the defense, because for me his best abilities lie in his pace, getting behind the defense. I think that's what we saw against Sheffield United, was when they were pressing us in that second half. He managed to get in behind, and that's how he scored the goal as well, where he got in behind and with a direct pass he managed to score. And I think against teams that lie deeper and sit deeper, he's not as effective. He's not as effective as a player when he has to meet, further down the pitch, closer to the midfield area, and he's very ineffective. I think a lot with what he does with the ball. He might be able to move the ball well and dribble maybe one or two players, but he doesn't really do anything with it. And for me, he looks good without really doing anything, and he's the most one-footed player I've probably ever seen for us. I call him Long John Silver because he just that right leg is just a stand on basically. I mean, he can't use his right leg.
So
every time he has to turn in left, every time, and so many times that stopped us in moments where we could have done things. He's had to turn, stop, and turn.
Well, I'm hoping, Sam, that Partey can help push the play up a little bit further. Ceballos can maybe play out on the right-hand side a little bit and link up with Pepe. Because sometimes he does seem like Pepe's on an island out there.
He did actually take a shot with his right foot in the last game. I rewound it. I was like, yeah. I remember where I was when Nicholas Pepe.
Yeah, exactly.
With Nicholas Pepe, I've always felt that, and it's not the lad's fault. I do feel that we paid over the odds for him. That was probably maybe down to the dodgy dealings of Raul. Who knows? But the one thing that kind of it's balanced it out now is we brought in Thomas Partey for 45 million. Now, if you swap the price tags around between Pepe and Partey, it kind of equalises itself out.
Yeah.
Did you know what I mean? If we paid that money, what we paid for Partey for Pepe and vice versa, there would be no complaints. So I've done that now in my head, and now everything is right.
Dan, I would go even further, Stan, and throw Tierney in there. What's he worth right now in the market?
Exactly.
Probably double what we paid for him.
But just going back to Willian, me personally, I'm not convinced, and I'm not completely sold on the deal that we did. If we were playing Willian, which they were kind of saying that he was going to play more in the middle, that's not really happened. I think that rather than Willian being a mentor, as some people have said, I actually feel that Willian is now impeding certain players. And I think that at some point, maybe within the next year and a half or so, we're going to be having a similar conversation that we have about our number 10, our current number 10. We're going to have players on a hell of a lot of money, even about 220 grand a week. And I would say that in 1.5 seasons' time, he either won't be playing because his form will have dropped so badly, or we won't be playing him because we'll have other players that we'll be using ahead of him. You'll probably be seeing a lot more of Saka, a lot more of Martinelli. Hopefully by then as well, Nicholas Pepe will be able to cement himself in the team. So I'm completely sold on that deal. And I'm not sure whether that was like Raul's parting shot, whether he had anything to do with that, just before he left.
Photo op at the agent's house.
I was gonna wonder, like maybe this is Arteta doing a test drive. What do I have? What do I have out of? What do I have with William?
Stephen and Mobe, I think Pepe's got something in him, and I think so too as well. It's up to Arteta to further unlock Pepe a little bit more and bring a little bit more out of him, and that's one of the big jobs that Arteta's got to do. But I want to go to my left centre back here on the screen, and guess who that is? If I'm the right centre back, who's left centre back? It's Tony. You're playing left centre back today, Tony. So
that makes me David Luiz. Bloody hell.
I'm in the middle of the centre. That better not make me Mesut Ozil. You got a problem.
You can be either Xhaka. You can be either Xhaka or Partey. It's your choice.
Yeah, I'll have Partey, obviously.
Anyway, Tony, Gabriel comes in September 1st, 27 million. It seems like money well spent. We've been crying out for fixing our defensive problems, and the club and Arteta go about and fixing that, we get Gabriel from our feeder club in France, what it seems to be like is Lille. And Manchester United had a cursory passing interest they'd like you to think, but we were able to get Gabriel in the door.
Yeah, it's looking like the smartest business we've done this window. He's been the close to player of the match every match. He definitely needs to be starting every Premier League game. And you
Hmm.
skipped our three first pieces of business on Mari, Cedric, and Luis, which are all pieces of shit deals.
Whoa. Okay. David Luiz, it's the hair, Sam. Alonso,
Yeah.
Gabriel, he's working out quite well. He seems to have acquitted himself very well in the Premier League against Fulham and against West Ham and against Sheffield United.
Yeah, it's always good to see Arteta put in newly acquired center back in their first game. It's just pretty remarkable, and
Yeah.
it shows how much he has faith in him, and especially in back here at the back. And so, yeah, I mean, I was very impressed. Here's also their first game against the Fulham. Granted, it is Fulham, but it's still it was still something like things to come from Gabriel, and it's very exciting and very optimistic about his future at Arsenal. And I just hope that he doesn't burn out. But I think Arteta has him under control. So yeah, I'm very happy about him being an Arsenal player, and he seems very relaxed as well, and not phased by being at Arsenal.
Yeah, and I think he's relaxed, Dan, because he's got pretty much half of Brazil there with him in the team.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's always good when a player scores on their debut. Do you know what I mean? And you don't expect it from a defender. You just don't expect it from defenders because goals from defenders are quite far and near and far between. And the way he done it as well, he headed it and nutmegged the guy that was on the line, through his legs.
Yeah.
I tell you what I like about him. He's a big lump, and he's got pace.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's left-footed. What is there not to like about that?
No, not a lot.
He's got that lovely left foot, which is going to be so handy to have. He looks strong. He's quick, and he had 3 man of the matches now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what a start to your career. Just keep maintaining that, please.
Yeah, and I bet nobody knew that Davy Crockett was Brazilian either.
Was it David Crockett?
David Crockett. Gary, Gabriel, it does seem, as we're saying, if you're looking at a pointer for Partey, you look at Gabriel, that Arteta was not afraid to throw Gabriel in. So it could be that Partey will come back for the Manchester City game. But let's focus on Gabriel right now. What's your impressions of Gabriel now in these 3 or 4 games he's played?
I like him. He's there. I mean, he's solidifying, that back line. I think when he's out there, I like him in the middle on the back 3. I feel like we have the stability that we want there. We have a strong player. He's tall, so he can help with balls in the air. Mm-hmm. I enjoy watching him play, and I think I like things to be somewhat quiet, and when he's back there, it's quiet in the sense that I'm not fearful that something bad's about to happen. I feel like he's a stabilizing force back there for us. Is what we need from what I've seen just in the 3 games, and that's what you get from somebody. That's what you get from somebody who's still he still has time to grow into that spot, right? We still think he's young. And he's going to make mistakes. So there's things that we're expecting him to do better going forward. So I'll take that. Yeah. I like him back there.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, if everyone's watching this live or in playback, slap a like on it, because apparently if we get to 30, Tony has nominated me to sing into a banana. I don't know where or how it came about that, but Get us to 30 likes, please.
The microphone like everybody else.
Apparently, Tony sings into bananas. So, Sam, what was your thoughts on Gabriel so far?
The guy's amazing. The guy's absolutely amazing. I mean, wow. I mean,
And
I don't think anyone. I don't think anyone saw it
beer,
coming.
right?
No, just a normal juice. I'll tell you what, that guy. I think he surprised everyone, right? I mean, I don't think we saw this coming. Not so quickly. I mean, the guy has really started well. He's actually, I would say, he's already shown that you can't leave him out of the team. I mean, what a loss he was against Liverpool, right? I mean, we really missed him.
Yeah.
There's an old saying. I can't remember who it was who said it, but he said, if you're good enough, you're old enough, right? All this worrying about how young he is and he 21, 22. Listen, that's a good age. 21, 22, you're mature enough. Your bone structure's there. He's been, he's a solid unit. He should be playing. He's that good. He should be playing. We shouldn't have to keep leaving him on the bench. This is it. This is now. Tony Adams was our captain at 17, 18, playing regular every game. Gabriel can be playing every game for us. We shouldn't have to worry about this. He's that good, Yeah, and exactly. Just an amazing player. And for me, he reminds me a lot of Sol Campbell. He's got a lot of Sol Campbell in him. He's he's strong, athletic, quick, wins everything in the air. Just strong, brutal power. And just the only thing is, I would say Campbell's not quite as good as Gabriel with the ball because of course times have moved on. Central defenders are a lot better now with the ball than they were 15, 20 years ago. But he just reminds me a lot of Sol Campbell, that real authoritative, powerful, dynamic centre back that we've been lacking for a long time.
Yeah. Listen, we're going to get into the segment now with just quickly on William Saliba. So Stephen's asking what's happened to Saliba. So you may or may not have known he's had to deal with some grief. He lost his mother recently. I'm not sure how recently, Tony, but it's something he's had to deal with. And then the move back to France, which would have been beneficial to him, I believe, to be close to the family. Didn't come off with Saint Etienne or Rennes even. And now he's sort of like the club are maybe looking at a championship team, but I feel personally the best place for him, if you cannot find a good spot for him in the championship, that he should stay with the club and stay there and, help. The club should help him in this process, Tony.
Yeah, I can't remember the two championship teams he's linked to, but I think it's a really stupid move if they do that.
And then what they want to do, Gary, is they want to find a good footballing team for him that he's going to play with, but he's going to be up against non-footballing teams, players. It's a little bit of a tougher league in the championship as well.
I mean, I almost feel like he'd be better suited on our team just because, one, you've got Luis, you've got Gabriel, both players in your same position that, you can feed off as far as, learn something from them either by watching them or actually playing beside them during certain parts of the season when their games come up. I mean, I think if he was going back to France, right, for, family support, then I believe, I feel like that the team kind of let him down on that one. I don't think this is, I like to think this wasn't something that just came up on the Sunday morning, or the Sunday morning, Monday, we might need to send him away. I feel like they dropped the ball on that one. If they were thinking that this was going to be helpful for him, if that's the case, that he needed some family support. Who better than your family abroad where you came from, or the team that actually went out of their way to pick you up and allow you to go back and play for a little while to get suited. And if they're not, I mean, I feel like he only had two. He had two families, and he should get us if he can't make it back home.
Yeah, it should be his dorm family, and in fact, his club brothers. You know what I mean? Tony, you wanted to get in?
Yeah, I think we're planning on loaning him out, or we would have registered him, and Europa we didn't register him. So he's probably going to go out, but I would have stuck him in 23s or put him in the league and play him sparingly. I think it's really stupid they loan him out. He needs to be there with the players and have the support he needs. It doesn't make any sense to ship him out.
Yeah, and Stan, if we were ever talking about, we were needing to let him blend into the team easily and calmly and as easily as possible and not put so much pressure on him, it's now double fold because he's got to go through a grieving process here. And Arteta can't really take that risk with him.
It's a young lad, right? And obviously, we done all of that stuff by taking him away a little bit, not early, but he couldn't play in the final. Remember, of his team, they got to their cup final.
Yeah,
have you? So rather than putting him out on leagues to the championship, where I think he'd feel more isolated. He's left France. He's come to England. He's obviously around people that he has familiarity with. People speaking his language. What are we going to do now? Send him off to I don't know, Leighton Orient or Charlton or something like that. I mean, do you know? And let him start all over again, feeling more isolated. For me, the best course of business, the best decision to make here would be, I would send him away home on a month's compassionate leave. Forget football, son. Go home and be with your family for a month. Do what you need to do. Spend time with your family, and then you come back. And if it takes another couple of months after that month to reintegrate him, so be it. He can train. He can be with the under-23s to play some matches. There's no rush. I would rather do that than fuck him off to some club up north somewhere. This young kid from France playing up somewhere in North. It's not the right move for him.
No.
Personally.
And I hope the club and Arteta realize that. And it seems evident now that Arteta was thinking about the kid as well, not wanting to throw him in. So we had Holding and Mustafi, and I think Lundberg is not excited about Mustafi for another year. But,
and I'd like to say also, what did you not like from what you saw in the NK Don's game? What did you not like from him? What did I watched him play in it, and I'm like, that's what I expect him to look like at this age. He did things that I didn't like, but he did some really good stuff. He's got a lot of potential.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that we need to let him go anyways, because I saw something there that, if you're going to help somebody grow into the spot on a team, he looks like he's got all the tools that you can work with and get him out there. There's nothing from what I saw in that one game, I was happy. What I saw in the U23s, I think he looked out of place there. And, he's like we said, he's kind of young. He's still trying to figure this whole thing out. I don't think he can deal with a lot of change. And right now, he's here with us now, so why not just keep him?
Apparently, the language is a problem as well. He's had trouble adapting, and we know what it's like for French players in particular to come. It takes most players to come to England and adapt, and even at that age, add into all of the other problems that he's had emotionally. I think we need to give him some time, and it's a tough one because we waited for a year as fans, and we have to give him more time now. Lumbercamp, rightly so, maybe getting Gnabry vibes from this situation.
Can I just add as well, that season that we put Callum Chambers out on loan to Fulham, I actually thought that, in hindsight, that was a mistake because we got ravaged by injury and we couldn't really done with Chambers in that season. And I don't want to see that happen to us again where we leave ourselves short.
Davy Crockett's having some problems down here.
I can see my cat.
Yeah.
Maybe. Listen, we'll go to Ceballos next. He's the next one that came on the list, and things are moving here. We got Martinelli, we got Saka. We did our first free transfer, Willian, although it's not really free, right? Well, we won't go down that road because we're already an hour and a half in. Ceballos, Tony. Ceballos comes in, and we saw he's already he was in the colors of Real Betis at some point, but he was always on board with Arteta and coming back to the Arsenal project. Tony, Alonso. I think you muted yourself, Tony.
Yeah, so I think that
we'll come back to you, Tony. Danny Ceballos, Alonso.
So Danny Ceballos, right? So
Come on, Alonso. Check yourself out.
Figure yourself out of that hole.
So it's Ceballos. Like when he first came on the team, he lost again.
What is wrong with him today? Look at him.
So okay, so Ceballos. So when he came on Arteta, Emery, he looked lost, and
It's our left side.
He was trying to find his place. And with Arteta, there was some evidence how he couldn't get on the team, and he was having trouble having confidence in Arteta having play, But then Arteta gave him a chance to make it right, and he sure did. And there's some games where he looked great. He knew his role, and he came on the team very well. And I think that Arteta convinced him to stay at Arsenal or alone, and he's been doing good so far. So I'm very proud of him. I'm very proud that he understands Arteta's formations, understands his role in the team, and he's done great. I'm very impressed with his attitude since he came back or he's come back.
And ever since the Manchester City game in the FA Cup semi-final, I think Ceballos and Arteta have been on the same wavelength. Tony, I'll let you get in once you're done killing your hat there.
I'm ready. For me, I really thought he was in the league. Like you said, he had a real Betis shirt on.
Yeah.
Possibility of Real Madrid wanting him back, but he was our best player after a restart. Here's the stats.
Yeah, definitely. So, Gary, how do you think our left side's working tonight? You got Tony and Alonso on our left side. Are they performing well?
They're doing good. Good job. Keep it up.
Yeah, Alonso's not tracking back enough for me.
Oh, we don't know. We don't want to say. You almost maybe say his name because I don't want to say his name. I'm not going to say it.
Which one?
I'm not going to say it. No, I don't like to say. No, I don't want to say it.
Don't.
But Tony knows who I'm talking about.
Wozniak?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's finish it out with Aubameyang. So Aubameyang was the last one. Sam, really, really big, probably the biggest part of the window. I don't know if you rival with Partey is the biggest part of the window is to get him to stay.
It's a very important signing again. We've been through it before, haven't we? How important it is. It's a real turning point now for the club to actually keep an important player like that instead of seeing them go out the door.
Yeah.
And again, I think we've delivered probably on the promises that were given to him. I think there were promises made to him that were part of the reason for him wanting to stay. I think he saw not just the performance of Arteta and the promising start Arteta's made, but I think the club and Arteta has given him promises that the club is investing in the future and basically showing some serious signs of intent of what they want to do, and they've done that now in the market with Partey. I think we might be a stretch here to say this, but I think if we had managed to sell some of our deadwood, basically the 5-6 players we had on the transfer list,
Shitbag.
If we at least 5 or 6 of those, if we'd have managed to sell all of those players and get a little bit of money, for each of them, I think we might have actually seen both coming, both Aouar and Partey.
Yeah.
Because I think we would have had the money to negotiate then with Lyon to give them finally towards the end the money they want, and then on the last day probably we would have still set in motion the plan that was already in place. So I think we could have done both. We could have got both Aouar and Partey if we would have sold those players. So I think, unfortunately, not selling them kept us back a bit. But anyway, back to Aubameyang. Yeah, huge signing, just as important as Partey in terms of what it means for us going forward. I mean, that's our major goal scorer. That's our talisman. That's our captain. And without him, you've got to find 30 goals, right? So where would we find 30 goals without him?
Not easily. So Aubameyang, he's on his way to legendary status. He's going to give himself. And what I love about it as well is that he believes in Arteta. Arteta is going to give him medals and trophies. Hopefully, he's got the FA Cup already. Aubameyang's not won a lot of things in his career yet, so hopefully in the final years of his contract, final years of playing days, he can do that. I'm going to go around counterclockwise. That means you next, Gary. Rate the window, and I'll go first. I'm going to rate it 9 out of 1. 9 out of 10.
Wow, that's pretty good.
That's a good one.
9 out of 10. I'm going to rate it 9 out of 10 because the club did the best it could do with its resources. I think we had to raid the piggy bank a little bit. We will talk about Deadwood, but in the current climate of COVID and the pandemic, I'm going to say it was very, very difficult to move players on. Edu did the best that he could do, and we've seen he's kind of redeemed himself. Stephen Denham laughing at me. 9 out of 1. So 9 out of 10 for me. I think we did quite well. When you go through it, locking down Martinelli, Saka, and Aubameyang especially, and bringing Ceballos back on loan allowed us a little bit more in midfield. And obviously, again, Aubameyang and Partey is the cherry on top for me. So, yeah, it would have been a 10 out of 10 if we got our, but that was subject to moving those players on. The shitbag 6 plus Torreira and Guendouzi, Gary?
I guess I'm a little harsh than you. I mean, I had a 7, and I think I think not getting some of those players out the door was a negative in this window. I know it's a little tough. I know you're gonna have to take losses, but I felt like at least it seemed like there was traction for a lot of the players that we wanted to get out of here. We did get some out, but we need to get a little bit more out as well, so we could have a little bit. You could make certain moves. So I think I'm giving it a 7. I think more players needed to leave, and like you said, if we were able to do that, then we're able to maybe bring in that other player to give us, the 10 that we wanted. But we definitely needed to let some players move. So 7 for me.
Sam?
Me?
Sorry, did you say Stan or Sam? Sorry.
Sam, we're going counterclockwise.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Me? Okay, right. I was on the Ask Brothers earlier on in the week, and they asked me the same question. I'm going to stick with the rating that I gave them there, and I'm going to give it a 6.5. And it's not because of what we've done. I'm glad with what we've done. I'm really glad with the Partey. I'm really glad that we secured Aubameyang. Even if we go back and count in the Saka, I'm really pleased with that, Gabriel. But I'm a little disappointed. And when I say disappointed, I'm not putting the blame at the club's feet because we're in unprecedented times of the pandemic. We didn't move on enough. As you quite mentioned, we've still got every member of the shitbag 6 are still part of the club. We didn't move any of them on. I feel that obviously we're in strange times. But there are some other transfers that we did that I'm not convinced about. The Willian one for me is one that I still have a little bit of a question mark over. The extension of David Luiz, I think that we could have done something better there. I think we could have looked internally there at someone maybe like a Daniel Ballard and promoted him up to the squad. Also as well, the Cedric one for me, I think the Cedric one, if I was to just give that one on its own a rating, I would give it 0. Because it just makes no sense. I mean, we paid almost somewhere around about 5 million to bring him in.
That's wait, Stan. You wait till he scores in the Europa Cup final.
But for me, that's including his wages and a couple of million on a loan fee for a player that was already injured, that hardly did anything in that season. And if we really did want him, we could have got him when this window opened for free. If that was someone that Mikel Arteta really felt would help in his plans. So again, I don't know if that was part of Rao, part of some of the stuff that he was. Had his fingerprints all over. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 6.5.
Okay. Alonso.
Yeah, so like Stan and Gary were saying that, I think that I give him a 7 because we should get rid of the Deadwood, like soccer artists and Kolasinac. Yeah. These players don't give us nothing. If you think about it, I mean, they give us laziness. They don't help the team out. They just ruin the team's aspirations. And so, I think that, moving on from Guendouzi or having him loaned out and Terrera were loaned out were very good moves on loan deals, and I think that bringing Amari in was really an okay move. It wasn't great, but at the time we needed a center back, but then he got hurt. So that's to be continued, I guess, and bringing Suarez in, he scored one goal for us, which is okay, I guess, So, I mean, there's always question marks bringing in players that are January transfers or transfers in mid-season. So, there's that. And
Yeah.
overall, having Aubameyang resign and Ceballos resign was pretty cool, and then having Williams sign, I don't know, I'm not so sure about. I wouldn't have done that deal. So, a 7 would do for me.
7. Okay. Rule has given a 7.5 also. Tony? Our left center back, Tony?
As originally I give a 6.5, like I heard Stan give the other day because of the Cedric, Mari, William, Luis deals were bad. But you consider Saka and Martinelli and the 7 under 23 players we signed, there's a lot of potential there. There has to be one diamond out of those 7 players. So I would give us a 7, but still a grade undetermined at this point.
Yeah. All right. What's you giving a 7 as well?
Yeah, a 7.
All right. Before I go to Sam, let us know in the comments section if you want to talk about the Europa League group, or you want to talk about last weekend's Premier League results before we finish up. We're not going to have a lot of time to do both, and we'll also ask the panel here what they want to talk about. So, Sam, rate out of 10 your window, not out of 1 like I did.
Out of 1. No, I'm gonna give it an 8 because I'm mainly very pleased with the players we brought in. Of course, Partey, huge signing. Gabriel, what an amazing gem he seems to be. And then signing down the contracts, like you said, I thought was very good. Getting Aubameyang, signed down was really good. So, I think we've done, and there's a lot of exciting youngsters we've brought in as well. To add into our under 23s and all that, because there might be some prospects there. So for me, I think we've done a good window. I mean, we should have maybe been able to get rid of some of this deadwood, but I know we put ourselves in such a difficult situation, though. I mean, it's nearly an impossible situation. It's like we're in 1999 and we bought Betamax. And you just can't get rid of it. We're in a DVD world and we got Betamax basically. I mean, it's it's you got these players. First of all, they're not good, right? Second of all, they're on wages that no one else apart from Arsenal in the world of football would pay them. Gazidis. So of course, they want to stick to their contract and not actually play football. They can just stay here at Arsenal. If they actually want to play football or move on, they're gonna have to take a pay cut, and that's not going to happen. And also the fees we would like to sell them for, club's not going to give us that money. It's ridiculous, and we set ourselves a terrible precedent with Mkhitaryan, basically giving him away for free. I know at the end of the day, okay, it makes some sense to get rid of his wages and just getting rid of him, but when you give him away for free, all the other clubs are like, well, what are we going to pay you for? What are we going to pay you for Socrates, Mustafi, all these guys coming towards the end of their contract? Why are we going to pay you when they're useless and they're going to cost us so much money in wages? So we've really completely shot ourselves in the foot there. And I'm hoping now moving forward, just for the sake of the club, that Adu and the team around him are not going to be making the same mistakes, because because he is and his team did there with those players is just completely effed us up for so long, and we're just at the end of the day, it's just going to be, we have to let them go now at the end of the season, and yes, we're going to be like £600,000, £700,000, better off with the wage bill when they go. But that's it. We're not going to be able to get rid of them until they have to go at the end of June or July. Yeah,
we got one more year for I think 4 players. Do we really need to go through the shitbag 6? Kolasinac is one of them, Yeah,
Yeah,
we all
so-
know. We all know who the bottom 6 players are in the
Yeah.
team. You know. Okay, I'm going to go around the panel here, and you can vote. You want to talk about Europa League group to finish up here, or do you want to talk about last weekend's Premier League results? We'll go around the league and see what happens. So, Alonso, what do you want to talk about? The Europa League? We can certainly do that another time, or the Premier League.
River League.
You want to talk about the Europa League? One vote for Europa League. Sam?
So I'll say the league results.
Okay, 1-1. Gary?
Yeah, I kind of feel like the league results. I mean,
Yeah, 2-1. Stan?
I'd actually say the Europa League because there is kind of like an elephant in the room that we've not even addressed yet, which kind of ties into the Europa League.
Yeah. You know what you did there, Stan? You're giving all the power to Tony.
That's never a good idea, is it? That's never a wise thing to do.
No.
He's got me intrigued now with this. What he's talking about. He's got me intrigued now.
oh, you
Or-
sold it.
or-
You sold it, Stan. You sold it.
Or did I?
Last
I
weekend,
want to hear what Stan has to say. So I'm changing my vote.
Good man.
All right, Tony. We'll talk about the Europa League, right?
nope.
We'll give Stan his wish.
Oh.
Tony.
So you give him power, Stan.
No, it makes it 3-2. It makes it 3-2. Alonso's Europa League. Stan is Europa League. I'm a Europa League.
Okay.
Unless you want to take part in the voting.
No. Let's talk about the Europa League, Tony. You okay with that?
You lost your power just like that. You kind of waited till the window closed too late, and they pulled a Partey release clause on you when you weren't looking, and you lost all your power.
All right. So Europa League. It is Thursday night, so we should talk about the Europa League. We can talk about Liverpool's agony and United's agony on Sunday. It's perfect. So Europa League, we've got Dundalk, we've got Rapid Vienna, and Molde, right? These are teams. This is a group that should help us able to manage our squad, Gary, very easily. We can play a lot of that dead wood in that team. Those who have been selected. On
Yeah,
that
well,
list.
I know we have Deadwood, but I kind of feel like the youngsters need to play. So, as much as we have Deadwood that maybe a little bit more experienced, I think to grow, we need those young guys out there playing a lot more. And even if they, I feel like that's how we should do that. And I try to take a look at these teams to see a little bit about them, at least to see how they've played getting into this part of the into the group stages. I mean, I feel like we should be able to control the group the way we have in the past with these teams, and we don't have to travel that far. So I think that's a plus. I mean, on that note, the one thing that I've been saying a lot now is, do we need to play these European games right now in the middle of a domestic season for all of the leagues? I don't. I'm one of can we just postpone it and play it towards the end of the season where you have a limited number of teams playing each other on a weekly basis?
Can we carry that over to Sunday, and we'll definitely talk about that on Sunday.
No problem.
I'm going to let you stew in a few more days until Sunday. How about that?
No problem. Yeah, but I mean, like I said, I did look at some of the teams, some of the stats of the teams coming in. I mean, like I said, I think we should be able to control the group.
Yeah.
They've given. I've seen some of the teams have given up a decent amount of goals, so we should be able to, with our youngsters who want to get first, starting 11, Premier League games. This will be a stepping stone for them, and if they've looked at the past, they know that it is the way to go. I mean, Saka and Martinelli has shown that if you show up and every time you step on the field, good things will happen for you. So I didn't see any of them play. I didn't see any videos or anything like that of them. I couldn't find enough. It's probably hard to find, but I just from the stats and where they sit in the league. I mean, I think some of them are. I want to say, are they well into their league start? I think so. you know, I think the best team I saw was maybe in 6th place. So,
I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. It's been a great show, and it's just going to continue for a few more minutes here, for another 15 or so minutes. Ray Anderson, thanks for joining us. Dundalk, all things being well, I would have probably planned going back to Ireland, visiting family if we weren't going through this COVID thing, and taking in the Dundalk game as well. Big stuff for an Irish team to qualify for the Europa League. So hopefully you're going to get some cash injection, Stan, into their club for that. But this should be a group that we should be able to navigate easily.
Yeah, it should be a group that we should navigate easily. But the reason that I wanted to touch on this subject is, I mean, obviously we had to submit a squad now for the Europa League, and we were a little bit over with what we have on our books at the moment. So we've left 2 players out of the squad. One of them is Socrates, and the other one is Mesut Ozil. And there's a lot of things been happening around Mesut Ozil since the last time we've all spoken. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to tie into it. And all the stuff that's been going on with the Gunnosaurus. And I just wanted to say my bit on where I stand on all of this. And I'm going to keep it extremely short, because it's something that I felt that we should touch on it, maybe. I don't know if you want to, but I'm just going to say very, very briefly, I'm going to keep it to the minimum. I'm really glad that that guy was the Jerry Quay, who's inside the Gunnosaurus suit. I'm really glad that, however it's going to happen, that he's going to have a salary for the year, and him and his family are going to have a little bit of a respite over the Christmas period. I will also say as well that I feel that if it had been done in a different way, I would have applauded it more. And I'm going to be a little bit cynical here, because I'm quite a cynical person. But had Mesut Ozil made the payment quietly, without blasting it on social media, and left it for the guy in the suit to come out and say, "Hey, look what's just happened for me," and he was leading the plaudits on how Mesut Ozil had helped him, then for me that would have been the more classier move. He's obviously gone over the club's head. He didn't go to the club and say, "Look, I want to do this," and the club said, "Oh, that's a good idea. Go and tell everyone about it." I think that this is all part of the Mesut Ozil, keeping him relevant, and the timing of it to try and overshadow the signing of, on the last day of the window. I think that was kind of a selfish thing. And me, I'm glad that he's been left out of the Europa League. I don't know whether he's part of the registered league for the Premier League, but I'm glad that Mikel Arteta or the club, whoever's making this stance, are digging their heels in, because the club tried this before under Emery. When Emery left him out, Emery said that this was a decision that he had the backing of the club. It wasn't just him. This was something that the club, a direction that the club had taken, but then they buckled and brought him back into the fold. And I always felt that was if you're going to do something like that, whether you agree with it or not, but if you're going to make that choice, I just feel that it's something that you need to stick to, because it does weaken your hand. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Yeah. And I just repeat, I'm glad that he's getting his money. I'm really happy about that. But I do think that there was a cynical move on Ozil's part. The wording of the way that he put it out. As long as he's at the club, the guy will get paid. What happens if Mesut Ozil goes in January? He done this over the club, and it's his very subtle way of his PR machine having a dig. So
we hold on, Tony. I'm going next. We did this podcast. It was going to be good vibes for Thomas Partey. That's great. We did him due diligence. We talked about the window, but this has to be addressed as well. And it wasn't going to be a big part of the show because I believe 5 of us are all in agreement. I'm not sure about Alonso. I'll go to you next, Alonso. But I agree with what Stan said. We've seen Aubameyang and other members of the team do things for people in society, and those people in society have chosen to publicize what they've done for them. That's the difference here. Ozil has publicized what he's done. he hasn't allowed someone else to publicize what he's done. So, I agree. I agree with Stan. It's definitely a PR maneuver. This has been going on for too long now. Ozil versus the club, and it's a bad look for the club to open themselves up to this by doing that to Gunnersaurus on the eve of signing a player as well. So, two wrongs. My mother always said, and does still say, two wrongs do not make a right. But it's definitely a PR stunt to make Ozil be relevant. And Arteta didn't want to have questions about Ozil every Europa League game coming up. What's happening with Ozil? Is he injured? Is he not? What's up with his back? What's up with his knee?
Has you got an umbrella with him?
Arteta has put a stop to that for the Europa League. We shall see what happens. We got 12 more days. The 20th of October is when the list will come out for the Premier League, and we'll see what happens. But Alonso, I'm going to go to you next because I kind of know where Sam, Tony, and maybe Gary stand on this, and we'll get to those guys. But I want to go to you next, Alonso, for Ozil.
So when we first signed Ozil back in 2013, right? And Copa Madrid was really a big shock to all of us. And he came on deadline day, right? And the hope was that he'd be more than the player he was at Madrid. And, for the most part, it didn't work out. We said that one great year he had in 2015-16 season.
Yeah.
Well, then he started doing some things that weren't really great. Like he wouldn't track back, he wouldn't defend. He would just be lazy, and he didn't really do what the fans want him to do on a daily basis, on a game by game basis, right? So then, he started calling out China for the Muslims, right? Which is fair, go ahead, He means well, but at the wrong times, you know what I'm saying? So he's an enigma that whether you like him or not, he just is a different person. And you want to root for a guy like that, but it makes it so hard because of his brand, his name, his PR, and it's rough because, I want to defend him, but sometimes it's so hard because the way he's done it, and so when he leaves Arsenal, what will his legacy be,
Yeah, good question.
And will it be, well, he helped us win 3 FA Cups, or 3.5, and or will it be just the nonsense he's done and not played at all for the past year and a half or half a year, so it's just it sucks,
Yeah. Gary. Yeah. Put the spotlight on you now, Gary.
Yeah, I was just thinking of this as everyone was talking. I was just going. So he makes what, $350,000 a week, right?
On a match day. I don't think it's exactly that. That's what bonus.
Well, you divide that by even if it was 300, you divide that by 7, right? So one day, right? One day. Yeah. In a week, he earns more than, what is it, 24,000, 30,000 that this guy's salary is.
Yeah.
But he put a caveat in the statement that if I'm here, I'll pay your salary for the rest of the year. But in one day, he earns enough to cover the guy's yearly salary or whatever's left on it.
Yeah.
Excuse me, what? What? That's your pocket change in your that falls in between the seats of your car is what you can pay this guy's salary, and you're like, nah. Well, if I have a job still, he is still going to get paid whether he's here or not. That money's coming. We know it, and we honestly, I don't think we care if that money goes to him or not. I think that's the way I think. They've taken the hit. It's less than a year now. Why would you tell him not to take? If you were in his shoes, you're taking that money. So it's not. I don't think it's going anywhere. I did hear something about a buyout.
Yeah.
If that happens, because come January he can do whatever he wants. Maybe they'll do that. But it's I like to see that list come out. If he's on there, then yeah, he's taken away a spot from Saliba because
Oh.
if Saliba has to leave, I would rather have Saliba on the team than Ozil at this point if we're in a rebuild. And I think the team has. I think they've put their foot in the ground, said they want to do. We'll see if they're able to actually follow through.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not helping us progress. So
can I get a show of hands who guessed the two players correctly? Okay.
I think I did. I think I did. Yeah.
You thought it would be Socrates and Ozil?
Yeah, I just say as well. A lot of people have been going. He's contracted for X amount of time. Would you walk away from that money? And obviously, I wouldn't. If I was in a job in that kind of situation, you're not going to go to another job and just take less when you're on a contract for that period of time. However, it has come to light that there have been loan opportunities that Mesut Ozil was turned down, and he would have still been able to have secured the salary that he's on and continued to have played football elsewhere and still be paid. I'm sure that, Arsenal would probably be, paying 60-70% of that wage, and the receiving club would play a pittance. So that option has been available to him.
Real did guess.
I did know.
As well.
But there is a solution to this. There is a solution, and you think about it, right? We no longer have a mascot on match days. Mesut Ozil is not doing very much on match.
I know where you're going with this. Yeah.
It's a really expensive mascot, man. Really expensive mascot.
Get him in the suit.
But then, it would negate Stefan's comment here. The mascot had better games for Ozil, for Arsenal than Ozil. All right, Sam. What's your take on this whole situation the last week, Sam?
Well, yeah. First of all, it's like if you're going to do something like that and be charitable, you don't need to make a PR stunt out of it, right? You do it secretly, or if you're doing it the right way, that's what you do. You do it secretly, right? But no, you had to make a PR stunt out of it. You had to take the limelight away from everything that was going on from Arsenal. I was reading somewhere, someone wrote that the whole Gunnersaurus thing, the tweet from Ozil about that he was going to pay for Gunnersaurus's wages had more retweets than the Thomas Partey announcement from Arsenal. So, it just shows you this whole sickening PR, social media mess there is around him. And, it's just like he is this entity that just sucks all the energy out of everyone and the club. Every time something happens with the club, some big news, he comes up with something. Oh, by the way, this or that or whatever. The guy is just I wouldn't have him there. It's like having it. It's having something there that's such a huge distraction. And I wouldn't have him there. But the thing is, we're at this position where apparently we think it's too much to pay out his contract. I would love to pay his 15, 16, 17 million, whatever it is, to just get rid of him. Just first bus to Luton Airport on an EasyJet flight to Antalya. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Why can't the club just say, look, obviously it's not working. If he's not going to feature in the Europa League, in those earlier rounds, right? If we're saying that he's not going to feature then, why not just say, look, go home. You don't have to come in and train. We'll send some gym equipment to you if you want it, and we will continue to pay your salary into your bank account each month. I presume he gets paid each month, right? £1.4 million. Right, we'll just keep paying you the 1.4 million, but there's no need to come into the club. And once that money, that his contract comes to an end, then he's on his own. And I'd like to ask the panel as well: do you think that when he gets to the end of his contract, do you think that Mesut Ozil will retire from football and continue living in London, because we know that he does enjoy London, or do you think that he will go to Turkey on a free and play for, I think it was Fenerbahce, who is played for, there'll probably be a nice house thrown in Obviously not 350 grand a week, but I'm sure they probably give him at least 100 grand a week, a nice house.
Yes,
What do you think will happen? Do you think he retires or he goes off there?
So I think that's my mom.
Arsenal.
There you go, nice.
So I understand. So I mentioned that I think his family's team is Fenerbahce, and I think someone said that last night it was Galatasaray. So, but I think he'll retire. I think he loves London too much to leave England or London to go to Turkey.
Yeah.
Does he want to play football? That's the thing. I mean, at the moment, like Stan said, he's had chances to go on loan. He doesn't even want to play football, right?
Yeah,
but I think the best place for him to go would be Turkey because he's friends with their president, right? So he could probably get in, do loads of stuff with him. They could probably have pool parties together and stuff like that.
Sam, I think we have a player who's won a World Cup and he's won things in Spain and he's won a few FA Cups with Arsenal. It seems like he's just felt like that's it. He's hung up his boots before he actually hung up his boots. You know what I mean?
No ambition.
But Mobe said, don't respect the guy. We're bigger than that. I think you're talking about Arsenal. He did some good for this club a lot. And the thing he did for the club was raise the profile as well of the club. He had a couple of good seasons. We were able to attract a few players as well because of the Mesut Ozil factor. Principally Pepe and a couple of other players have talked like that. But the sign is there, Tony. I don't think I came to you yet, Tony. So your take on everything. The signs are there on every door. Ozil should see, it's time. It's over. As Forrest Bueller said, go home. It's over.
First, I'll start with Stan's question. I think he either goes to Turkey or MLS. He's too greedy not to get the money. Those teams probably won't be cared if he's starting every other week or something like that. But the whole thing, I think it was intent to trigger the club into buying out his contract, which is £13 million left on it. We've been the last 2 weeks negotiating a buyout. So I think that's why he brought it up. You can't convince me that's why he didn't bring it up, because he just wants to piss off the club to say, hey, here's your money, get the fuck out.
Can I just answer that question that Mobe put up about saying that, Mesut says he wants to play football. What do we know to say otherwise? Well, what I know is that he's been offered loan deals to go out and continue to play football at a variety of clubs. He would still receive his full salary. So, he's not going to get lowballed or the rug pulled from under him in that way. He'd still be on what his contract earns. And he has said that he has turned those loan deals down. Yeah. Now, you'd think that someone who's of his age, 31, and if his contract is winding down and he wants to go somewhere after his contract finishes, he wouldn't sit idle. He would be playing to put himself in a shop window so that when his contract finishes, he's got his next move ready. He's showing people that he's still playing football, whether it be Turkey or wherever. But he has chosen not to do that.
Or the US.
I mean, and I'm not, and I'm just saying it how it is. I mean, if he still wanted to play football, he would be playing football now. He doesn't want to do that. So, I mean, what do we think
we've also got to remember, guys, that the most important thing is the club. The club.
Yeah.
Players aren't more important than the club, and this is what pisses me off nowadays. Is we get into this megastar, super, status, players have brand status. They have more followers than clubs. Many of them, and they become like they're more important than the football club. They're not. Arsenal Football Club is much more important than Mesut Ozil. And sorry, Mesut, if you can't play for Arsenal and you don't want to play by how we want you to act and behave as an Arsenal football player, then sorry, you should go somewhere else.
And here's the thing, Sam. I think Mikel Arteta has been very fair with the whole squad. If you train well, you'll play. If you show what he wants to see on the training field, right, Tony? Right, Gary? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, you started me down that. I was going to go down that road anyways, but like we said, Arteta has said what he wants out of his players, and we see it all the time. We know that they have to work hard. And the last couple of games that I believe we've seen Ozil play, I don't think he's followed through with those demands that the coach wants. And maybe he can't. I don't think he can do. I mean, we see Pepe not play a lot of games, and we were always wondering why. And it seems that he's just not doing what he needs to do to get on the field.
Pepe's been a target. Arteta's asked more of Pepe as well.
Yeah, and Ozil the same thing. It's and even when he's there, even the things that we could rely on, I don't think we saw those either, right? I mean, the scoring chances that he would presented, I don't think we saw as much as we would have thought we would have seen if that's all he was willing to work on. So I mean, so we all seem to be bashing on Ozil, but maybe his time has come, and maybe he's not the same player he was years ago when he was out there. I mean, I felt sorry for him when he was one of the leading players out there as far as scoring chances were concerned, and he just didn't have any finishers. Now I think we've got him, and he's not the guy providing us with that. So I think I didn't read that, but it sounded like it was funny. But like I said, I think he's not doing what Arteta wants. So you sit, right? And if you're not even doing what he wants in practice, then you don't even get on the list, right?
But so the last great goal that he scored was a team effort, right? I mean, against
Newcastle.
That was a great team goal, and he was part of that. So to me, it's just tough because there's something in there. He doesn't want to. He just want to show it, in training too. And so that's why I think it's so saddening to see is that there's a player in there, but he just doesn't want to prove it, And
I want to give a shout out to Stephen. I want to give a shout out to Stephen Denham there. Stephen, I always send you a YouTube comment so you get a notification. And he replied to me today, 10 minutes before the show. Arsenal fans circle the channel. I'm ready when you are just waiting. So I thought that was funny, Stephen. Thanks for that.
I just saw Rural's comment. We want more, and Ozil is not giving us more. I mean, I think we've seen the last of that. So I mean, this is not how you want to leave the sport. At least you leave a team. And is the team that he goes to going to be anywhere close to an Arsenal? Probably not. So this was his last hurrah, his last time to go out with a big team. Where the way usually players do that have done good things in the sport, and it just doesn't happen that way for him. It's kind of sad in some respects, but the team has a lot of things they want to do. He doesn't want to be. He hasn't shown that he's going to be part of that, and the team hasn't shown he's going to be part of that. So, sorry.
I'm sorry. I just have a funny clip I want to get out. Can we give the last word here on this to Davy Crockett?
Davey, go ahead.
On Ozil or just?
Yeah, Ozil. The person we've been talking about for the last 20 minutes.
Let's talk about Davy Crockett.
Come on, Tony.
Is that hat a little tight? You need to take the hat off, get some more.
Man, our left side today, I tell you. Our left side.
Yeah, Tony, can you give us the last word on the subject we've just been discussing for if it's all right with you.
I just think we need to hurry up and negotiate a deal with him, get him out of the club. Like I said, he definitely had intent. What he did Tuesday, if he took his 7% cut, that would have been $24,500 a week to give to staff, so he could have paid Gunnersaurus his $40,000 in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah. All right. I think that's enough, right? At this point, let's close it out. This, I think, has been a good podcast. I've definitely enjoyed it. A little bit of this got to me at times. Stan's tale was funny. Got to give him props for that. Tony Turner, Davy Crockett, whatever you want to call him.
Davy Crockett.
Gary, Sam, and Alonso and myself were just characters in their world.
Yeah, that's very funny, man.
A big shout out to the club for going out and getting Thomas Partey. Let's bring it back around. Thomas Partey, And just to finish up, believe in Mikel Arteta, believe in the club. He is picking the best team out there. They're putting it on the training pitch. If you play well on the pitch, on the training ground, you'll find your way into the team. That's always been the way, and I don't believe Arteta is holding anything against any one player. He had obviously an issue with Guendouzi, but I'm sure the door was always open for Guendouzi to come back. And let's not forget, we want to keep an eye on what Guendouzi's doing at Hertha Berlin, and also Lucas Torreira. They are still Arsenal players, so we'll be watching them throughout the season. We'll go around the house. Final words, Sam. It's getting late there, Sam.
Yeah, it's 4:47 a.m. The sun's coming up in about an hour, I think. So yeah, nice and early. Anyway, my final word today is, and I find this rather interesting, is I mean, you look at since the Invincibles, right? When that team broke up, and we tried to make 2 or 3 teams since then, both with Wenger and without him. We've always had this like missing piece in the middle of the park, right? We've always had that. That has really been where we're missing things, right? And so we've never really, I think we've all said this as Arsenal fans since the Invincibles, since that team broke up. We've never really had a proper spine to the team where you think, not just a proper spine, but the spine of players that are world class or just about world class. And I think now, boys, we're getting there, because you look at the spine of this team now. You got Leno in goal. You got, for me, he's a world-class goalkeeper, definitely one of the best in Europe. You've got a Gabriel who, at the moment, is, I mean, he's knocking on the door to world-class. He's got it in him to be world-class. Great defender. Then we're going on to midfield now. We've got Partey, the missing piece of the puzzle. Hopefully he's going to really show us what we've been missing. That great midfield piece has been missing for a long, long time. A world-class player. And then up front, we've got Aubameyang, a world-class striker, one of the best strikers in Europe. So now we've actually got a spine of a team to build around and build on. And for me, that gives me confidence that we are going places. And I know, Stan, you don't think we're quite going to make Champions League football this year. And, I fully respect that. But when you look at this spine and with the squad of players we've actually got now, what Arteta can get out of them, and you look at what the other teams around us are doing, I think we can make Champions League football this year. I really do. We've got a spine now that's really, really showing what a foundation we've got now going forwards. And I just want to say that we've actually got a spine, boys, and now things are looking good going forwards, and hopefully we can get Champions League football this year. I think that's the goal, and then the goal next year is to challenge for the league. And then the goal for year number 3 is to win the league or win the Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
That's it for me. Thank you very much.
Well, Tony.
For me, it's how quickly does Partey get the captain's armband? Will I try to give it to him this season or wait until next season?
Who's getting the armband?
I said Partey.
Partey, how quickly?
How quickly he'll get it.
Okay. Alonso?
Yeah, like Sam said, we finally got some spine in our team, and it looks pretty good. I think that when you have a guy like Partey, a guy like Gabriel and Aubameyang, they're gonna make the team better in itself. I think that Xhaka is gonna be better with Partey. I think that Gabriel is gonna make the release and hold him better. And I think you're gonna have a guy like Tierney who's already reputation speaks for himself, and also these youngsters really play as well. These youngsters like Saka, like Gabriel Martinelli, like Reece Nelson, like Joe Willock. These guys are great now, so they're gonna be pretty good to watch as well. So I think all in all, I think we're gonna have a good balanced team finally. With grit and heart, with communication, leadership. So it's all goes ahead. Hands on deck, all hands on deck.
All hands on deck. Future looks bright. We've got young kids coming through. We're buying established players in Partey, Champions League, great players. Stan.
I think for me, now that we have Thomas Partey, the hole that we were going to put our in, I think that hole can maybe be looked after internally.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting for me to see how Mikel Arteta goes about now organising the midfield now that he has Thomas Partey. I'm hoping that we're going to have a back four and have three in the centre of the midfield. And I really hope that somehow he puts Saka in the middle of that trio as well.
It's happening.
I'd like to see Partey, Saka, and then maybe Ceballos, maybe Elneny, maybe Xhaka in the other role. I mean, I'm not quite sure yet who I would have in that third place. But depending on how these players settle, I think is really going to play a part on whether we make the Champions League outright, but by just strolling in the fourth place, or whether we have to find another way. I still think that we may have to find another way, whether that's winning the Europa League and also having our own future not in our hands by hoping that some of the other teams around us fuck up a little bit. And I'm looking at Chelsea as well. I mean, they got a really
you, Chelsea, yeah, and United.
They got a really strong squad there at Chelsea, but I'm hoping that maybe Mikel Arteta has a little bit more of an edge to set us up better than Frank can, so that we can get a couple more points than them. But I'm happy.
Yeah, definitely. You can have the best team on paper, but you may not have the best team on the field.
Yeah,
Gary.
Yeah, I guess I'll say, I guess a couple of words that come to mind is like relax and be patient. I mean, what I've seen from Arteta and what we've seen so far and what I've liked is that when a player's come on that has something to give, he gives exactly what Arteta wants. Gabriel has shown us that. I feel like I have no doubt that Partey will probably do the exact same thing when he gets in there and gets on the field, that he'll answer whatever questions Arteta asks of him. Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you show us this? Can you show us that? I expect to see that as well. And with that in mind, what that does for me is it shrinks that big valley between our front line and our back line as far as the ball. And I think the smaller it gets, the more control we will have of the field, and the more control we have of what we do. So I do agree that we're improved from last season. Right now, I'm feeling like the Europa League is definitely in our grasp. If we're able to either improve by our people that aren't going to be playing when the season returns back in a couple of weeks, or maybe later on in the season, that we'll be able to get a little bit extra out of these games than we thought we would. I'm looking forward to seeing that. And I always like to say I like to take it one game at a time, just because I'm looking forward to what I've seen so far. In the past, I dreaded what was going to happen in the next game for what I had just seen. And every time we go out there's something that I like. So I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to seeing them every week when they go out there. And as Stan said, maybe we have some of those players that we're looking for that just haven't had enough playing time. I'm hoping that's the case, because I don't think we're going to be able to make any big moves for a while. And I believe they have the talent, whether they have the drive, and they're able to be put in positions to actually succeed. Then that's what I'm looking for. So, one game at a time.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Sam, Stan, Alonso, and Tony. Alonso, big respect to you as well, and once again, commiserations for your grandfather.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. That has been Arsenal Fan Circle. Did we hit 30 likes yet, Tony? No singing tonight.
No way. You can save the banana for the next show.
Yeah, put your banana away.
Talking to me or Tony?
Whoever's singing with the banana.
Hey, listen, this was a long one tonight, but it was a good one. Thanks for joining, everyone. Thanks for watching on playback, and thanks for everyone who supports the channel. We all do this out of our spare time, and it's much appreciated when we get the recognition, and we love having everyone here. Longbreak Camp Rule, some guy called Tony Turner, Stefan, all those guys. So thanks for watching. We're out here. We'll catch you on Sunday. We missed a few topics tonight. We'll carry over till Sunday. There's no games, so it's always time to catch up, right?
All right.
Take care, everyone. Thanks. Come on, you Gunners. Up